People always want to know how you get a job in video or filmmaking or anything creative. Like, where are all the jobs? It's very similar to people asking, like, how do you get a boyfriend or a girlfriend? And the answer is it's different for everyone. Everyone has their own personal path, but there are a few places you can look to help guide your path. And the first one that everyone usually goes to is Craigslist because it's kind of top of mind. Like, if you're looking for a job, you can go on Craigslist and there's probably something there. The problem with Craigslist, though, is that if you don't live in an area where what you're trying to do is big and prominent, you're really kind of getting the scraps, kind of getting the leftovers. And believe me, I've gotten jobs off Craigslist, and almost all of them, even if they've been paying, which is good, you got to make money somehow, they really weren't the career advancing or the things that really got me ahead. It was more just like the stuff kind of to fill in the gaps, keep myself afloat while I was waiting for the next bigger and better thing. So I can't say that Craigslist is the best place to look. Oftentimes you'll find kind of like a hidden gem or a diamond in the rough where something comes along and it is a great opportunity and you should absolutely take it. But you do have to sift through a lot of crap to find those things. And it takes time and it takes work. So you have to hustle. You have to be on it looking every day if that's what you want to do. If you don't have work right now and you're looking to get work, it's not just going to come to you. You have to be out there being proactive and tracking it down. Because what happens with Craigslist, especially, the first couple people who reply to that posting, those are the people who are likely going to get the job. So if you're 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours late to something, that's so many other people who got in ahead of you, and likely someone else has already been chosen. Now, that's not always the case, but you really have to be on top of it, because checking like once a week, it's not going to cut it if that's where you're looking, if it's on Craigslist. The other thing people consider usually is moving to LA or potentially New York, but most people think about LA when they're thinking about video and film and moving to LA. And me personally, I've never moved to LA. I've worked in LA a couple times, which has been pretty fun, but I had a couple friends who moved out to LA to do the whole thing, to try it out, and they ended up coming back home. Now, that's not to say that's going to happen to everybody, but the thing you got to keep in mind about LA is that because that is kind of Mecca, that's where everyone's going, it's very competitive. There are a lot of jobs there, but it's always a grind. Almost everything is freelance or temporary work, contract work, and so you're constantly doing that hustle, doing the grind, trying to find work for the next week, for the next month, whatever it is, and that can get exhausting and draining. And frankly, it's not for everybody. So you really have to commit and know that, like, okay, if I'm going to move out there, I'm going to spend 6 months or 12 months, whatever it is, and I'm just going to hit the pavement and I'm just going to do my thing. And that's in LA is an environment where Craigslist probably is a more viable option, probably a little bit more beneficial, but you really have to work hard at it. And it's very difficult to find anything that's sustainable long-term. If you're looking for stability, whether it's for starting a family or just for your own sanity, because you're just kind of like want to take it easy, that's probably not going to be the best environment for you. You really have to work at it. And a lot of people, that's not for them. They want to go do something else. They want to do something that's a little bit more stable, that's going to recur, and they know that every week they're going to have a job. They can work their 40 hours and be done. Which takes me to the next place that you should be looking is in education. That might be specifically with an educational institution, whether it's high school, university, whatever it might be. There are education systems that are looking for people to do video because they have the funding for it. But there's also companies who specialize just in videos for education. You look at all the tutorial type stuff that's online now, web-based learning, online classes, that all needs video or audio or some kind of production usually. So there are a lot of companies that specialize in it. It's not the most fun or engaging work, but that's usually a little bit more steady and stable. So if you can find a company that's doing that, you might be able to find something that's full-time work. Again, it might not be the most fun and probably not like what you're envisioning, like working for Red Bull, but they oftentimes do more legitimate productions. They can pay well. I've done a little bit of work in that area, but frankly, it's just not for me. Now, the other place you can look is usually, it depends on the city, depends on the area, but usually there are some small specialty kind of boutique production companies in almost every area. Almost every place I've been has had some kind of local production company, but these are very small, so it's very hard to get in. These are groups of anywhere from like 5 to 10 people, working for a company, and there's not usually a high turnover, although there can be. But if you're trying to get in with one of these companies, one of the best things you can do is follow them on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, whatever it is, because most of these companies have those, trying to promote their work and whatnot. But if you follow them, they'll usually post when they're having some kind of job opening. Someone left the company, they need to find someone new, they're growing, whatever it might be. So if you are looking for work and you want to work for one of those production companies, which kind of specialize in, maybe they have a particular field that they cater to, but oftentimes they do a little bit of everything, and that can be pretty fun. So follow them on social media and keep your eyes on them as they move and grow and shift, because you could find an in. And those, frankly, when those spots open up, usually those people are looking for very talented individuals. So compared to like the Craigslist, just general posting of like whoever gets here first gets it, they'll probably be a little bit more discerning in terms of picking somebody who's the best fit for the role. So even if you come along a little bit later, if you're talented, if you got the skills, they might pick you. Another place that people don't necessarily always look is churches or religious organizations. Now, many times these are one-man kind of shows where they've got budget for one person, and that person has to do everything. So they're looking for a jack of all trades, someone who can shoot, someone who can edit, someone who can do motion graphics, do the whole deal. It's I don't know how to say this. It's difficult to work in that environment, having to do everything yourself, but it is a stable, steady job where you can find an actual salary position. You can go there and do your thing. And it's actually a really good place to work if you're first getting started, because, these religious groups, they probably don't have the most money. So they're probably can't afford the people who've been doing it a long time. So they're usually more keen on getting entry-level people, more forgiving for people who maybe don't know everything but are willing to work with them as they grow. So it can be a really good environment for somebody to grow up and learn all these things, but still in an environment where you're working on productions that are expected to be delivered by certain dates and deadlines, and it's not just like filming stuff for fun in your backyard. You can do a little bit more with it. Now, there are quite a few companies now shifting to doing internal video, and that can be another option. You might find a company who's they've been working with an agency or some other production company, but they've decided for cost or efficiency or whatever, they want to do video internally. That is certainly a viable option. The thing about that you have to always consider is that if you're working for that one particular company, you're going to be doing very specific kinds of videos that cater to that one company. So you really have to like their mission statement, what they're all about, what they're doing, and the kinds of videos that they want to create, because maybe they want to create something that you think is really boring and it's not for you. Well, taking a full-time job there probably isn't a good idea, because you'll get burnt out, and after a year you'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. But keep an eye on that. You can look, I know there's like Production Hub and a couple other websites that they'll usually have different job postings, and it can be similar to Craigslist where there's just a bunch of stuff out there and it's all kind of crap, but you can find some things if it's a good company and they're willing to pay you what you're worth. But you might also find the same issue that you have with like the churches or the religious organizations, where they're looking for the jack of all trades, one man show. So rather than just, being a shooter, they want someone who can shoot, edit, do motion graphics, do the whole package. So just keep that in mind. It's actually really valuable to have all those skills. So when someone comes along and says, hey, can you do this? You can answer with a yes. I think that's really valuable. I think it's kind of an older mentality to specialize in one thing. Very valuable in Hollywood or in the kind of older, more traditional methods, but with like new media, with YouTube, with digital online content, a lot of people are looking to make videos pretty frequently, but they don't have the budget that Hollywood has, and they can't afford all these specialized roles. They need somebody who can do a decent job at all of them. And finally, the number one way to find work is to network. And it is the one thing you will hear all the time from everyone, but I do want to add my own flavor to it. A lot of people think that networking is like going to mixers or special events or kind of community collaborations where they're going to meet other people in the industry and shake hands and all that. But really, networking can be something you just do day to day with anyone. You meet so many people every day, and oftentimes it's the creatives who aren't the outgoing ones, who just kind of want to sit behind a wall and like not make eye contact with anyone. They don't want to talk to anyone. They don't want to shake people's hands. But if you get out there, put yourself in front of people, almost 9 times out of 10, people are going to ask, oh, so what do you do? And you have the opportunity to share like, oh, I do, video production, or I'm an independent filmmaker, or I make documentaries, or I want to work for a TV company, whatever it is you do. That's what you do, right? You tell them, say, and I would guarantee you almost all of these people who ask that question know somebody who could be a valuable connection to make. It's that kind of Kevin Bacon effect, right? The 2 or 3 degrees separation. Even if that person, and they probably don't, that person probably doesn't need the services you provide, but they probably know somebody else who does. And making that connection and coming across like a hardworking individual and somebody who's friendly and cool, most people aren't going out of their way to look for video unless they really need it. And if you put that in front of them, like, oh, even if I'm a photographer. Hey, how's it going? Oh, you do photos. My buddy was just talking about how he needed some photos of his family, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Get out your card, hand it to him, do the deal. That's not to say that the mixers and the special events aren't valuable. By all means, go to those. Network as much as you want. But think about networking. It's not just about like making business connections. It's just about connecting with individuals anywhere, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to run to. If you're on an airplane, you're at a diner, you're at the park, wherever it is, there are people around you that probably need the services you offer. So just keep that in mind. And hopefully all those things, if you're kind of doing little bits and pieces of them, obviously not everyone's going to move out to LA, and not everyone wants to work for a church. But if you look at all those, kind of assess the playing field, hopefully that can point you in the right direction of where you want to go and where you want to be looking, because ultimately your path is going to be totally different than someone else's. And there's no one way to get where you want to go. It's just taking every opportunity that you have to make it happen and working every day at it. Because if you're not working, you should be, and you probably want to be, and you can make it happen, but you just got to get out there and do something about it.